HIV and AIDS. The human immune system defends the body against illnesses all the time. It uses guards in the blood called T cells to recognize any intruders and destroy them. But instead of attacking the body, the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, attacks those T cells themselves. It turns them into copy machines to make more copies of itself, then eventually kills the infected T cells. Without treatment, it takes 8 years on average for a person with HIV to develop AIDS, or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. By then, there aren't enough T cells to fight off various infections and diseases, so it's not the virus directly, but the diseases that are eventually fatal. Humans first acquired HIV from blood contact with apes, and gradually transmitted it to more people through unprotected sex, used syringes, and childbirth.
May not show any signs. There are others who experience certain symptoms after 2 to 4 weeks or up to 3 months after exposure to the virus. This phase of acute illness is referred to as the primary HIV infection or acute retroviral syndrome, ARS. This is basically the body's response to the rapid HIV replication. During this phase, the infected person experiences flu-like symptoms. Unfortunately, the affected individuals might consider the illness to be a case of flu. During this phase, the amount of virus circulating in the blood, viral load, is high, which increases the possibility of transmission of the virus considerably, in comparison to the next phase of the infection. The risk of transmission of the virus is very high if the infected person indulges in unprotected sex during this phase. Statistics show that 1 in 5 infected persons is unaware of her condition, which is why people in the high-risk groups are often urged to go for HIV screening tests. The symptoms of the acute retroviral syndrome include fever, chills, night sweats, muscle aches, fatigue, headache, rash, sore throat, mouth ulcers, enlarged lymph nodes. In case of people affected by ARS, the symptoms might resolve within a few weeks. After the ARS phase, comes the asymptomatic or latency phase, wherein the affected individuals don't experience symptoms for several years. Not everyone exposed to the virus gets affected by ARS or the primary HIV infection. In some people, there are no specific symptoms. These people have a clinical latent infection that may last for a duration of 8 to 10 years or longer. However, some of the people in this phase might have swollen lymph nodes. During this asymptomatic period, HIV multiplies fast, thereby destroying the immune cells. Early symptomatic HIV infection. Infected individuals begin to experience symptoms as the immune system weakens. As the virus destroys immune cells, the infected individuals begin to develop mild infections and experience symptoms such as fever, fatigue, swollen lymph nodes, diarrhea, unexplained weight loss, cough, and shortness of breath. Progression of the HIV infection to AIDS. In the absence of treatment, the disease can progress to AIDS in a few years.
Spread of HIV. I'd love to live in a world where HIV was history. Going to talk about HIV, AIDS, and the effect it can have on people living with the virus. There is no cure for HIV, but there is medication to help an infected person. There are other ways, though, that HIV can make someone's life more difficult. Do you mean the sadness that stigma and discrimination can bring to a person with HIV and their family? That's right. I don't think people realize how hurtful they can be. In this next section, our 2 guests share with us their experience of living with the stigma of HIV. We're not going to tell you our names, and we're not going to show our face, but we're going to tell you about HIV. We are brother and sister. I am HIV negative.
And I am HIV positive. I was born with the virus, and so I have to take my medicines every day. The doctor tells me that if I take my medication, I can live a long and happy life.
I don't think the doctor is right about living a happy life, because I see my sister crying almost every day. She doesn't cry because she feels sick, but because people are mean to her.
Mommy tells me that children are cruel because they don't know better. She says you can't get the virus by sharing a joke, hugging someone, or by being friendly.
It makes me angry when I see how my sister is treated. She's really good at sports, and when we play at home, she wins many times. But on the field, when the captains are choosing their teams, my sister is always left last, even though she can play better than most of the others.
I guess I'm getting used to it a little. I've stopped trying to make friends with anyone. I spend all my break times with my brother or in class pretending to finish my schoolwork.
This is my last year at our school, and I am really worried about leaving my sister behind. I think she will be very lonely. I saw her making a poster that said, "Friends wanted." But that's not the way to make friends. Stigma and discrimination are so unnecessary.
Absolutely. You know, I think that some people wrongly believe that it's easy to get HIV, almost like catching the flu.
Essa é